Hey, Crystal Maiden here, and here I'm going to be showing off some more fun missions. After a stage is restored in the HD version to the game, on the levels, background noises can actually be heard, like the entrances to levels. They're faint, considering the background music kind of drowns them out. This is best heard from muting the music in the options menu. In Green Hill Zone, sounds of the waterfalls and bird songs are heard. Chemical Plant has construction noise, considering how heavily damaged the modern version of it is. That was probably being reconstructed. In Sky Sanctuary, a loud bird song is heard. Speed Highways entrance has honking cars. City Escapes has crowds of people that make noise. Seaside Hill has beach noises. Crisis City has volcanic explosions. Rooftop Run has faint crowds, and Planet Wisp has a mix of birdsong and construction. Why is it that we only hear this after beating the stage? When playing the stage for the first time, lets us hear noise from it just fine. Not to mention that the levels are fully colored when we first play them, but not in the hub world. So why do we have to beat them as levels with both classic and modern Sonic for that to happen? Classic Sonic in his super form in this game retains his black eyes rather than getting blue-green eyes like he had a Super Sonic in Sonic 3 Knuckles. It really goes to show you how far they were going with the whole nostalgia pandering. Hey, maybe his green eyes now are just residue chaos energy from being around the Chaos Emerald so much, or maybe he always had green eyes and classic Sonic's design just didn't show it for some reason. The 3DS version doesn't bother having the rivals race you in the places they originally fought you like in the HD versions of the game. Like instead, they just fight you in places with the same aesthetic as levels that you've already been in. Like Shadow races you in Radical Highway. Although that is accurate considering that you saw Sonic and Shadow basically try to go and race each other in the intro of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So maybe they're referring to Generations 3DS. Maybe they're referring to that. But for the most part, it's pretty random. Like Metal Sonic races you in a Casino Night Zone-like area, and the races are all really annoying. Like Shadow is way too cheap with his attacks. At least the races are nothing like the Sonic CD race in Level Design. The launch trailer for the 3DS version has a small mistake. During the modern gameplay showcase, a clip from classic Water Palace is shown. So it's not really modern then. The 3DS version is the first game to feature monitors rather than capsules in modern Sonic stages. The first game was Sonic Pocket Adventure. In the HD versions, it takes 5 seconds for classic Sonic to get impatient, and 35 for him to lay on the ground. But in the 3DS version, it takes 30 seconds for him to get impatient, and a whole minute for him to lie down, which is pretty inaccurate since Sonic is supposed to be a lot more impatient than that. Like, that's been his personality, part of his personality, from the beginning. This is the first handheld modern Sonic game where boosting through enemies is seamless, rather than causing an awkward split-second pause like in the DS games and Unleashed. Like even the Wii version of Unleashed has to happen. In the 3DS version, Tails is your exposition fairy in an Omochao, using the appropriate tails for each Sonic. In the 3DS version, Classic Sonic's model becomes shinier with the stereoscopic 3D effect turned on. I wonder why that is. In the 3DS version, if Sonic gets a standard shield while having an electric shield, he'll keep his electric shield. I don't understand why every Sonic game doesn't do that. Even if the player lives in North America, the PC version downloadable from Steam is based on the PAL version, which you can actually tell from colors being spelled wrong. In the unlockable song list, Hydro City Zone is spelled with a space between Hydro and City, giving it the boring ass pronunciation as originally intended. Like seriously, I know that Hydrocity is technically incorrect, but it's still a lot cooler sounding of a name. I mean, it's water, and like Water City is so boring of a name. Hydrocity is like velocity, and it's a fast water level. It's brilliant. But unfortunately, this ended up being a case of Sega accidentally being brilliant. So fine, whatever. I'm still gonna call it Hydrocity Zone because it's a better name. I don't know why this level randomly decides to make you press switches, make the swingers move. I had a bit of trouble going through this mission. The level design was kind of clunky. Like I can barely progress to the right here. The reason I'm playing as only Classic Sonic here is because I tried to play as Classic Scourge, but I wasn't using Scourge Generations. And I guess that version of the mod is the only version with an actual Classic Scourge in it. So Silver is the only rival or boss that has never faced at its original location in either version of the game, using either Crisis City or Tropical Resort. You never actually fight him in Soliana. Just like in 06, Generations has a Monster of the Week with control over time and space that devours it. But the events of this game were erased from memory only in 06. In Generations, everyone remembers, except random civilians who weren't part of the plot anyways. Time paradoxes. In the 3DS version, many levels are direct recycling of the levels they're representing. Classic Sonic's Green Hill Zone, Casino Night Zone, and Mushroom Hill Zone are taken straight from their respective games with no improvements. And modern Water Palace does that as well, which actually makes sense since that game, that level references something that's already been made by Dimps, so it makes sense that Dimps would have that level design. But they would have to have specifically gotten the level design of the classic games from Sonic Team. It really goes to show you how little effort was put into something that could have been the perfect handheld representation anniversary game. And the annoying thing is, Mania is basically a 2D Generations, only with a few original levels here and there. So it's trying to pretend it's not. And like, if it's going to represent the 2D games a lot more, then I would have preferred it if they had, like, Game Gear games be represented. And, like, maybe advanced games, and Rush games, and Sonic Pocket Adventure. And wouldn't it have been really cool if we saw 2D versions of the 3D Sonic levels in Mania? Like, imagine something like, I don't know, Frog Forest in Sonic Mania. That would have been a lot more exciting than just seeing the same level design that we've seen throughout the classic games, but with a few changes. Like, I'm certain that in fact that is just a Sega mandate. Like, no one goes, I want to make nothing but old levels. No, I think that Sega is testing Taxman. I don't think he actually wants to make old level design. Like, that's my biggest hope for Mania, is that maybe it'll lead to completely original classic Sonic games. If it doesn't, then it's going to look pretty annoying, rehashy, and oversight. Generations was held on a 66% discount on Steam via PC download as a daily deal due to the large amount of downloads, which is kind of ironic considering that, like, large amount of downloads, sure, but like, Colors and Generations didn't even break 3 million in sales, and yet they're some of the best Sonic games ever. Well, not sure about Colors, to be honest. Like, it has a focus on platforming, but because of its slippery controls, it doesn't really work, to be honest. It's all 2D when it should be 3D, since it's a 3D Sonic game. But at the very least, it was a good game, but it didn't really get the sales that you'd expect. And this is probably the result of the whole appeal problem that the series had with its, like, self-awareness and trying to have a focus on being comedic and cartoonish, Well, it doesn't actually appeal to kids. Kids want something that's cool. And like the adventure games are cool, and even the Werehog looks cool to kids. But I'm pretty sure Colors doesn't. And with Generations, sure, Generations is full of nostalgia for the great classic Sonic games, but do you really think that that nostalgia is going to appeal to kids? The target demographic of Sega? I don't think so. And of course you got Pontiac and Graf who can't remember their own writing, so there you go for that. That's probably another reason why you got the sales problem. I don't know. In the collection room of Generations, 2 of the cutscenes you can view are both named Eggman Abducted, both being the cutscene after beating the Death Egg robot and the Egg Dragoon. How lazy are they? I mean, like, it really goes to show you how, like, I mean, a lot of effort was put into the level design and gameplay and controls of this game, but when it comes to the story and, like, minor aspects like trying to remember what game Cream came from, it is kind of underwhelming when you think about it. Eggman Nega wasn't even referenced in this game, even though the game references a huge amount of other titles. Like, it has a song from Knuckles Chaotix and Sonic Spinball. Like, it doesn't, I don't think it actually references Shadow the Hedgehog at all, aside from having the best song from that game in there. But, well, it is good that they don't have a level from it. The first Sonic game fully voiced in German and other European languages is Sonic Generations. Even the producers said the German actor for Eggman is the perfect voice for him. The French voice acting is also well loved, considering most of the actors reprised their roles from Sonic X. You'd think that if they weren't well loved, they wouldn't have been called back at all. Meanwhile, with America, the 4Kids voice actors are considered very infamous. They actually originally planned to make Wacky Workbench a level in this game, and when that idea fell through, they decided to make it a DLC level. This is actually a really good mission. Like, it's basically based on the Sonic and Tails mode, only it controls really well, unlike the Taxman remakes with its Sonic and Tails mode, where you have to press a direction and the A button in order to jump off. Instead, literally all you have to do is press Y to summon Tails when he's flying, and he's right above you immediately, and then you just have to mash the A button and you start flying. It's nice and simple. Although again, it makes me really wonder why we can't have anything like this in the actual levels. I mean, this does look broken as hell, but why can't we have this as a skill? Like, I guess being able to summon Tails literally wherever we want. I'm not really sure if Tails can tire out. Like, I'm sure he can. He seems to be flying for a pretty long time here. I love that they bring back the dash rings from Sonic Adventure 1. Like, they're pretty good to have here. But see? Like, I'm flying for a really long time and he's never getting tired out. So I think making him tired out would be a good way to balance it when you put him into classic Sonic levels. But, like, a lot of people say that this game has, like, if there's a mod you want for Generations, they probably already made it. Well, unfortunately that's not actually the case, because there's a lot of levels that I would have loved to play in Generations that weren't really made at all, even by fans. And as a result, there's no way that you can play a classic level with classic Tails flying you around, no matter what kind of mod you try to get. It's ironic that the rival and boss battles of the Dreamcast era mainly use the boost throughout them. It's like they're going, see how the boost makes everything better? The rival and boss battles of the modern era mainly use the homing attack and auto running, which was made prominent in the Dreamcast era. I really like this mission. It makes you feel pretty powerful, like just running through it with invincibility, and you never have to really worry about it running out. Not long before the release date of Generations, Sega sponsored a skateboarding sporting event that took place in Venice Beach of California named Sonic Generations of Skate. Which is kind of weird because I kind of thought that, at least I've heard, that skate isn't really popular anymore, and that it was just a 90s thing. Maybe it's still around, but it's just more obscure now. The Silver boss fight is the only reimagined boss that wasn't based off a final or penultimate boss. Metal Sonic was the final boss of Sonic Heroes, and Shadow was, well, he wasn't actually the final boss of Sonic Adventure 2, but he was the final boss of the Hero story. So there's that. Meanwhile, the Death Egg Robot was obviously the final boss of Sonic 2. The Egg Dragoon was a final boss of Sonic Unleashed. And the Egg Emperor was the final boss of Sonic Heroes for like all the main stories and so on. I used to think the Dreamcast version of Gamma looked no different than the DX one, but actually the Dreamcast Gamma had a silver ring on the end of his gun, not a black one.